Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Jamaica's PNP member, Meadows, ponders if Prime Minister Holness is among illicit six. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 25th August 2023. Details after this important message.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. As attention continues to focus on the group now referred to as the Illicit Six, a member of the People's National Party, PNP in Jamaica, is raising the question of whether the Prime Minister is among the 6 individuals under investigation. Natalia Clark of CVM Live has this story.
Former government senator, now People's National Party caretaker candidate aspirant for North Trelawney, Dennis Meadows, has joined the chorus of voices demanding the 6 parliamentarians on the Integrity Commission's radar for illicit enrichment be named.
When you elect to serve in public office, you don't have the luxury of saying this is private and this is public. You are a public figure. So anything you have in your life must be public, especially when it relates to the public purse.
Meadows, who was speaking on Sunday at a Northeast St. Anne conference in Outaouais, lauds PNP President Mark Golding for swiftly contacting PNP parliamentarians regarding the matter, while chastising the Prime Minister for reportedly not being serious enough about corruption in the Jamaica Labour Party.
Quote unquote, I have asked near and far. I don't get all of them, but as far as I know, none of my members were contacted. That not sound sure, don't it? And it demonstrates, in my view, the lack of seriousness with which treat the issue of corruption as a Prime Minister.
Insisting it is imperative for Jamaicans to know which politicians are getting rich off of their backs, he suggests the possibility of the Prime Minister being one of the illicit 6.
It is over a year now since Andrew Holness declared his assets and liabilities to the Integrity Commission. Over a year now. And to date, the Integrity Commission is yet to certify that declaration. So it's a reasonable question to ask, and very fair to ask, Prime Minister, are you one of the 6?
Meadows is vying to secure his spot on the North Trelawney ballot come September 3, as PNP delegates are set to converge at the Falmouth All-Age School to cast their vote. He is the only PNP candidate eyeing the seat and officially severed ties with the JLP in 2022. Natalia Clark, CVM Live.
The Bank of Jamaica cautions against the large wage increases in the private sector. Javon Keys of TVJ Business Day reports.
Unemployment hit a historic low of 4.5% as of April, accompanied by a steady increase in employed Jamaicans. Despite this, some industries are still experiencing a labor shortage, a phenomenon which could create a double-edged sword situation for inflation.
From the bank's perspective, this could become a threat to inflation if labor shortages translates into large wage increases and higher prices.
This concern comes after the government implemented a multi-billion-dollar increase in wages for public sector workers, including parliamentarians, under the new Public Sector Compensation Review Program. Central Bank Governor Richard Biles has therefore cautioned businesses in the private sector. These entities typically have continuous wage increases.
If we do get large wage increases and those translate into increased prices, then we are going to have a new cost push effect on inflation. If those wage increases are A, not that substantial, or B, accompanied by increased productivity, then the impact on price increases should be nominal and not so much of a threat.
So, how much is too far?
If the wage increases are nominal, that is within, say, the 7%, 6 to 7% inflation that we are currently experiencing, the impact won't be that significant. If it is accompanied by increase in productivity, again, it will be ineffective.
Annual inflation as of July was 6.6%. That's, however, coming from a peak of 11.8% in April last year, a time when a number of businesses were still recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, and wages in many firms were not adjusted based on inflation trends.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Is Jack Day allowing Trinidadian friends and companies to deplete Guyana's foreign currency reserves? Here is Carice Gonzalez of HGP Nightly News to tell us more.
The AFC leader made those remarks against the backdrop of the unavailability of adequate foreign currency to effect basic transactions locally.
It is the mismanagement of the economy of Guyana.
This lack of adequate foreign currency stems from complaints of several local business people who have been trying to access foreign currency to carry out their businesses, operation oftentimes unsuccessfully. Ramtatan explained that the Guyanese foreign exchange system is run on what is known as a managed floating system, which speaks to the government of the country's central bank, occasionally intervening in order to direct the country's currency value into a certain direction. Ramtatan says that the problems the country is experiencing with foreign currencies might very well be a result of poor choices on the part of some governing officials.
Has been facilitated by him in relation to contracts in the construction industry. After the oil, construction is the biggest moneymaker in Guyana now.
Meanwhile, at a separate press conference just a day prior to Ramtatan's statements, the Vice President Bart Jagdeo said that the aggregate amount of foreign currency available in the country does not reflect this purported reality. Jagdeo posited that some banks have significantly more than what is being requested by businesses, and further that there should be an interbank market to allow for one bank to acquire the amount of funding they need if they do not have it all at the time. Ramtatan, on the other hand, believes that Jagdeo is allowing his friends and close allies to carry out these excesses for their own whimsical gains.
But the facility of granting them so much Guyanese money to buy what they're buying and not doing the work for the construction industry is at the hands of the PPP government.
This is Carice Gonzalez reporting for HGP Nightly News.
Political scientist in Trinidad, Dr. Mukesh Basdeo, says the country is in a place never entered before as regards the recounts of the Lengua Indian Walk electoral district. Nicole M. Ramani of TV6 News reports.
This after preliminary local government election results put the People's National Movement's candidate 5 votes ahead of the United National Congress candidate. A recount called for by the UNC resulted in a tie. There was also concern raised by the UNC about a rejected ballot that did not bear the initials of the presiding officer. Today, Dr. Basdeo tells TV6 the voter is not to blame.
The argument that has been put forward is that if it's no fault of the elector, then on the elector side it's a valid ballot, and therefore it should be registered on the column of the UNC. The EBC is contended that the absence of the initials of the deputy presiding officer is deemed to be invalid. So the argument that the UNC is affording is it as a result of what we call negligence on the part of the EBC, of which the EBC, they're claiming, is not willing to accept that they are negligent in this matter.
He says the current situation is new to Trinidad and Tobago, and what is so significant here is that after 2 recounts, the vote is still split between the two parties. He says the country has entered into uncharted territory.
Context, but it will be interesting because we have never been in this situation before with regard to a second recount in an electoral district or both in local government and parliamentary. Where it is best that the courts may be called upon to determine whether or not the act does the act caters for such a scenario, or is there a need to actually have what we call the re-election, but is ready to determine the validity of this single ballot.
He also weighs in on the performance of the Gary Griffith-led National Transformation Alliance, which has formed an accommodation with the UNC.
What it would have shown in the case of the NTA, its ability to actually muster the required number of votes in that corporation for it to be allocated as alderman. So it is considered to be an electoral breakthrough in the context of the NTA because it is where their total votes accumulated in that corporation would have been used to determine the allocation of an alderman.
Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
Barbados to develop a school safety policy. The police in Belize say they arrest 6 hitmen from Mexico. These 2 items form our HGP Regional News Bites with Tiana Cole.
A senior Barbados educational officer say a national school safety policy expected to be rolled out for the next term in September will seek to address safety and security issues in schools across the island. The school safety policy is expected to generate a greater sense of awareness among stakeholders so that they can clearly outline the roles and responsibilities of each and create a safe school environment, said Deputy Chief Education Officer Joy Adamson. She said that when completed, the policy will address 4 key pillars: safety, security, health, and ongoing maintenance. Police in Belize say they have detained 7 Mexican nationals whom they believe had been sent to the Caribbean Community CARICOM country by a Mexican cartel to carry out a hit on a well-known drug dealer. Police said that the men who are being held in an undisclosed location claimed to be consultants entering the country to work on a road construction project. Police Commissioner Chester Williams said that law enforcement officials were on operations within the Northern District, particularly Curacao, when their attention was drawn to a group of Mexican persons. Asked whether the men had been here to carry out a hit on a well-known drug personality, Williams responded by saying that the men claimed they are involved in some road consultancy. I'm Tiana Cole.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.